Hey, I'm Danielle, and I'm so excited for you to see today's video because what you're about to see is actually something that normal people don't share. I recently made a big career decision, and that is to leave my job. Typically, when people are transitioning jobs, you see the person in the previous job, you find out that they've decided to move to this new job and they got it and it's all magical and the transition happens. But what is that in between? I captured the messy part, the confusing part, the uncertain part, the scary part. All of that is what you are about to see. But before we go any further, if you're not yet subscribed, definitely do that now because I have so many exciting videos coming up in the next few weeks as I share the behind the scenes of this whole job transition, so you're gonna wanna see that. But let's go ahead and start the story where it begins, the moment 3 months ago when I decided to leave my job. Oh, here we go. I decided that I'm officially looking for a new gig, and probably within the next 4 months, end of this year, beginning of next year, we're about to have a wild ride. I just really thought about the latest career map / Odyssey plan that I had made and what kinds of skills I really needed to build, what kind of schedule that I needed, and I think I need to switch things up. Hey, it's Danielle from the future, just jumping in here real quick as I'm editing this video to say that I know I didn't share too much detail about why I decided to pursue a new job in the first place. You'll hear all those details in an upcoming video, and for now in this one, it's all about the actual decision-making process with taking this leap of faith. Back to the video. So I immediately made a list of tasks to tackle that will help me get there. This is steps to my fall career exploration and what I am looking for in my next job. We will see how this goes. So I might have sent a text to my previous boss yesterday about maybe coming back. I really liked one of my previous gigs that I did and sent a little note to her about maybe doing it full time. So we'll see if that's a possibility. I'm kind of considering just like building out a couple Odyssey plans this morning. It's 6:30 on a Monday morning and it's completely dark out, but I'm gonna take a couple minutes to kind of think through a couple possibilities, whether it be shifting back to that type of work or something else. Hey, so it's been like 2 months since I last gave any updates. I'm about to go holiday shopping, which is the true indicator of how much time has passed, and I've got some interesting updates to share. All right, got the gift. This one's for you, Mom. Got the coffee. This one's for me. Now I can actually give you the update. I mentioned catching up with my former boss, and I've actually talked to her 4 times now. I've been meeting with her weekly for like a month, I guess it's been, and just kind of talking through what it would look like if I were to work for her again. This work that I did for her, I absolutely loved. The only reason I left is because I was paid by client and there just weren't enough clients to sustain working there, but if there were, I would have kept going. So when I checked in with her and it seemed like business was going well, I was kind of like, maybe I would want to go back to doing this and maybe even expand the type of role that I had there. And so I've been talking to her. The conversation started off really exciting, and like the weirdest thing happened mentally for me. I was excited talking to her, and then all of a sudden it like hit me that like if I'm really looking to transition to working with her full time, I'm gonna have to leave my current team. And I got really sad, and I was like mourning the loss of this amazing team that I work with right now in my full-time job. I totally did not expect to feel that way because I was like, I'll still see them. I'm not like moving cities. I'll be able to run into them, and since I work for a co-working community, I can join that co-working community, especially since this other work would be virtual. It seemed all very like logical, but I kind of felt this like, oh no, like I don't want to let go of them. And then as I continued to talk to my former boss, she was kind of discussing going a direction that I didn't know if I was on board with, and I tried to just do my best to like be upfront about that and like ask more questions and be like, that's interesting. And so throughout the last month, I've basically gone from being super excited about this other work and knowing that I love that so much more than just the daily job responsibilities that I have in my current full-time job, to be completely honest, to then realizing if my former boss is heading this certain direction that I'm not on board with, like maybe it's not a fit. And so now I just feel really conflicted because I loved the work I did before. I love my current team right now, more than the work itself, to be honest. And now I'm like, well, what the heck do I do? Because also this would kind of be a leap of faith. Things aren't set in stone. All the clients aren't there yet, but we could do a launch in the next couple months and bring in clients. And I wouldn't necessarily have to make that transition until things were set in stone. But then now she's talking about this other sort of wing of the business. And if I did that, I would have to get like trained in certain stuff. And if I did that, I would have to leave earlier. And just all these other factors that I'm like getting a little bit nervous about. So that's what's going on. So where am I at right now in the decision-making process? I need to think this through because I don't want to transition before I have enough clients to sustain me financially. That would be just kind of not smart. And I also want to make sure that I'm not jumping into this business that's about to like change to something that I don't want to be working for. God, I know this feels so vague when I'm saying this, but like I can explain more later. And there's a small possibility that the job I'm in right now could actually get a little bit better, and I could be doing a little bit more of what I enjoy and a little bit less of what I really don't enjoy. But also financially, the pay is very minimal. It functions like a nonprofit type of company. So what you're hearing right now is my mind going like this, which is exactly what's happening. And I'm just trying to figure it all out, and I've got some decisions to make. And I know that like when you're thinking of A versus B, it's gonna feel like this dilemma because you're like, well, this or that or this or that, and you're flipping back and forth in your head. When the truth of the matter is that there's a million opportunities out there that I could pursue, not just the job I'm in now and growth opportunities there, or jumping to this job that I had before and the growth opportunities there. There's so many other opportunities out there that I could go for. It's really just all up to me making decisions in the next few weeks. So that's where my head's at right now, and I'm kind of stressing about it. Why is this man full-on driving between lanes? Don't love that. So I've made it a habit over the last couple of years to have uncomfortable conversations, and whenever I am debating about something that someone says or thinks, I usually play this whole game in my head without actually ever talking to them about it, and I've tried to avoid that in more recent years. Today was a perfect example of that. I was debating this whole weekend about this business direction of the company that I want to go work for again, and I said I'm going to bring it up in conversation. When she texted me earlier today, today's Monday, and said, hey, can we hop on the phone for a couple of minutes? I was like, I know that I have to mention that thing and say, hey, can we not go this direction in the next at least 6 months and revisit it in the summer? And I said that exact thing with a little more detail, and she said, sure, that sounds good. And I was like, okay, should have said something sooner. So moral of the story is spend more time actually talking to the person than talking to yourself in your head, and you'll probably figure out something pretty soon. I guess I was like on a roll today or something because I also knew that I wanted to like actually nail down a contract with her so that we could set things in stone so we weren't continuing to talk on a weekly basis without any formal agreement. That's like not my style in the past, but I just know that at this stage in my career, I'm better about that stuff, especially, you know, working in kind of the leasing world a little bit the last couple years with working at a co-working space. It's about time I get it together. So I mentioned that as well, and she was like, yeah, we definitely need to do that. And it's so funny because I'm like, I know this person, she's very like agreeable and on board and ready to roll with most things. And so if I'm debating in my head when like she's usually probably gonna say yes, honestly, I might as well just voice my concerns or needs or things that I want to do or aren't gonna work for me. So anyways, I brought up what I needed to bring up. I had the uncomfortable conversation and I am very glad about it, and I'm gonna talk to her again in a couple of days, and things are headed in a good direction. Exciting news. In 6 weeks, I will be officially switching jobs, which means in 3 weeks, I will be putting in my notice, and then after that, big changes are happening. I have been very vague with what this job actually is, but I will tell you. I mentioned texting an old boss, and if you've watched some of my older videos, you might have heard me mention that I used to work with high school students helping them get into college. And for 2 years, I did that full time, and then for kind of my third year of doing it, I did it in addition to other gigs. That was honestly just something that lit me up so much. Like, I loved that work, and I ended up leaving that type of work just because of a low number of clients. But when I reached back out and saw that there was an opportunity to do this full time again, I was all in. Even though the job that I'm in now, I would never take this experience away. I've been here 2 years. I have learned so much. I have built so many skills that I wouldn't have if I didn't take this job. I seriously cannot imagine not having met and grown close to this team. So I would never take this experience away. And I just knew at this time I needed to transition back to work that just felt right in my gut and was the direction that I wanted to go in the future. And so that's what I did. But I wasn't gonna transition back to just exactly the same job as I had before, because people talk about like lateral moves and stuff, but it was beyond just like what it looks like on my resume, obviously. It was really about wanting to use the skills that I've acquired in the last couple of years and just grow as a person and take on more than I did before and have a bigger role. It sounds cheesy, but like live a bigger life. That's like what I've been thinking, and in stepping out of my comfort zone in new ways. And so when I reached back out to her, I sort of presented this job description and way of being able to expand my role with her. And not only did I present that to her, but she actually had an idea that is working out, and I am so excited about it. And so I had connected her with this other program that does these workshops with high school students. They had a discussion, and it ultimately worked out where she wants to do this type of workshop with our students. That means that we need a facilitator. So I get to get trained in this type of workshop, which I'm so excited about because I've known about this program for a couple years now. It's incredible, and I love the people who run it, and it's definitely a skill that I want to bring on board for what I'm doing. If I'm being vague, basically this workshop is you bring students through this innovation process to be able to work with businesses to solve their problems and present it to them. An experience that high school students usually don't get, and something that I'm like a huge fan of. So this is all good and exciting. So in January, even before I'm leaving my current job, on nights and weekends, I'm gonna be doing this training program so that I can run the summer workshop workshop and hopefully take on other opportunities with this type of workshop to help students and live my best life because I love this type of thing. It's very up my alley. But like I said, in a couple weeks, I'm putting in my notice and starting to prep for this transition. I feel like this fear, but also excitement in like my tummy, and I feel like that's a good sign. If I were like, yeah, whatever, my life's gonna be easier in a hot minute, that would mean that I'm sort of just picking the path of least resistance, versus if I'm like scared but excited, to me that says I'm headed in the right direction. Needless to say, I have so many exciting videos coming up. I'm really excited to share because I feel like we don't often get to kind of see into the behind the scenes of switching from one job to another and how it feels and how we make decisions and what it actually looks like and the whole process. It's kind of something that's typically very like confidential or just doesn't get shared, but I am putting it front and center. I want to tell you exactly what it's like and share exact steps along the way. But I'm actually including some sneak peek clips in a second so you can see what's coming up. But first, of course, like this video if you found it helpful and subscribe so that you can stay in the loop. And thank you for watching. I've decided to take my career in a different direction. My last day is going to be Friday, January 21st.
I'm going to keep on a very strong pace. It's very exciting for you.
Thanks. I'm going to miss you guys a lot.